Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of our third season here in F1 2019. We are headed to round 17, Suzuka, Japan. 5 more races left to go in the season. Now hot off of the win we had last week in Russia. That puts us into a 55-point lead at the top of the field. So if we can manage to not drop 10 or so points every race the rest of the way home, we should be able to wrap this championship up. But obviously we don't want to stop pushing. Now, big news, driver moves. George Russell, hot off of his podium for our team there, has been picked up by Racing Point. They've let Lance Stroll go, so we've got a new teammate, the German Nico Hülkenberg on there. So now 3 Germans back on the grid, Vettel, Weber, and Hülkenberg now filling it out. So George Russell moving to that pink Racing Point car that has shown some tremendous pace in the tail parts this season. Obviously, Sergio Perez is our big championship rival down the home stretch. So we'll see how George can do in that car as well. Just kind of taking a peek at the development, seeing what's coming along. Nothing arriving this week. We're sitting 3rd right now in the developments. We got 2 more developments kind of upcoming, USA and Brazil. So nothing coming for a couple of weeks now. And then just taking a peek at the engine life, seeing how worn things are getting. Now, in the late stage of the season, obviously we want to try to make it work to the rest of the season. We don't want to take any more grid penalties. But let's head off to qualifying.
Welcome to Japan and the impressive Suzuka track for today's qualifying session, where we should be underway shortly. This is the kind of track that eats rear tyres for breakfast, or so I'm told by more experienced drivers than myself.
Lots of low-speed exits means the rears are in for a lot of punishment. It's all too easy to spin them up coming out of a corner too aggressively. It might look great for us as spectators, as we love to see a car driven beyond its limits, but it's not going to result in a great long-run pace.
So here we are jumping about midway through our first flying lap on those softs, running a little deep into that hairpin in Q1 there. Just trying to get the traction down. It's that white dot on the minimap behind us. That is our brand new teammate, Nico Hülkenberg. As we get set to dive into this basically triple left-hander almost of spoon curve. Really got to maximize the exit as much as you can as you shoot down the back straight and then over the bridge that crosses the circuit over itself. And coming up to the daunting 130R, used to be a very technical corner, now nearly 200 miles an hour straight flat out before you come through that corner, get hard on the brakes into the chicane and set yourself up for the final run out of the corner. Try and avoid the bumps as you cross the line. That puts us up at a P3 at the moment, but it's an early run. We're 1.2 off of the lead. So jumping ahead to our tail end of our second flying lap, we've fallen down to P9, but we are slightly improving. You see that big bump there as we come across down that right-hander. It's just a strange thing to feel when you're trying to get on the throttle carefully and get absolutely flat out onto that corner and get a good exit. You have that huge bump, which can definitely upset the rear of the car and cause some spins in practice for sure. But here we are out very end of Q1 now. We got dropped all the way down to P18, so in danger of the cut line. But here we are about 4/10 up on this lap. Rumble over that bump, hit the last DRS zone and cross the line. P14 at the moment. We crossed the line just in time to start another lap. Are we going to get a better time in this time around? Or a little slow through turns 1, a little better out of turn 2, picking up a little bit of pace. Well, let's see if anybody goes faster. And nobody went any faster. We went a little bit faster, so we moved up just slightly into P13, so just above that cut line into qualifying 2. So now obviously, with as tough as it was to get into Q2, we're still going to run this medium tire lap and see, but I have my doubts. I think we almost certainly need those soft tires in order to make it into Q2. So we're on the second of our back-to-back laps. Really made a mess of it through the final chicane there. Dropped a ton of time. Only improved by 2.5 tenths. And so here we are coming across the line. P15 heading in. A little bit of an improvement. Let's see where that puts us. P10 just barely made the cut on those soft tires. So we are going to have to start on those soft tires. But we are going to get an opportunity at this final top 10 shootout. So Here we are at the end of Q3 here. We didn't have any extra tires to run on, so we just had to wait till the end of Q3 run our 1 lap on our bonus Q3 tires, which you get for making that 3rd qualifying session. But you see, we're about 6/10 down of Lando Norris, 13 seconds left in the session. We didn't get out quite quick enough, it looks like, to get a 2nd flying lap in. Maybe if we have a just absolutely amazing exit. 3, 2, 1, timer's up, qualifying's complete. So we weren't able to get that 2nd lap in. Let's see where we're starting, P10. So probably could have just saved the tires and not even put in a lap.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who will be fronting the grid. Vettel, Perez, and Carlos Sainz. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix. We're live today from the Mie Prefecture of Japan as we look forward to the Japanese Grand Prix. The 2015 race here was one of only 5 Grand Prix in history to feature no retirements at all. Although with the highly competitive field we have today, I don't expect we'll be repeating that stat anytime soon. 18 corners make up a lap of the incredible figure-of-8 Suzuka Circuit, with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, for a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are fairly quick. If it stays dry, then expect somewhere in the region of 136 miles per hour. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson, and you join us as we discuss the recent changes to the driver lineup. So, let's briefly discuss Nico Hülkenberg. They've just moved to Williams. How do you think they'll get on?
Well, it's definitely a step up for them, and if they can rise to the challenge of competing at a higher level, it could turn out to be a very smart signing. And with the way the team's car has been performing recently, I'm sure they jumped at the chance to drive it.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Lucas Faber, and Gasly, Hülkenberg, Oldtimer, Norris. They've taken a grid penalty. And George Russell, Verstappen, Bottas, Alexander Albon, and Butler, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Kevin Magnussen, and Charles Leclerc. Ricciardo and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
We're expecting you to finish in the top 5 today. Good luck.
Well, our attempt at a title defense, I guess it's a little early to call it a defense, is not off to a great start as we're starting pretty far back from Sergio Perez. We are going to be on that soft tire first. It looks like we can make the one-stop work onto the mediums. It's just how much life do we want to take out of that soft tire to go onto the medium as opposed to the hard on that one-stop strategy. Cloudy day will keep the track temperatures down, so grip will be pretty good once we get the tires up to temperature, but we are starting just behind our teammate, and we're up in P8 at the moment thanks to a couple of grid penalties. But as the lights go out and we get underway, you see the attack that we're already under around the outside. George Russell already making a look behind us. Lando Norris around the outside. A little bit of wheel banging going on there, but now George Russell and Lando Norris are kind of battling it out behind us as we kind of settle into this train. Really only one line you can run through these S's. If you don't make the moves stick through turns 1 and 2, you're going to be in this line for quite a while. Now, Suzuka is a fun circuit, a good technical challenge, but very tough to race around in this regard because there's just not a lot of great overtaking opportunities. Obviously, as we come out of this second Degner corner, this hairpin is kind of the best overtaking opportunity, I would say. That and into the chicane, but the last chicane you do have to follow somehow closely through 130R. Just checking for front wing damage for a second there. Make sure that little wheel bang with Lando Norris didn't put us on the back foot. But as you can see, down into Spoon Curve, everybody's just trying to keep it nice and tidy. The heavy fuel load's definitely us swinging the cars to the outside of these corners, but we've managed to hold our position at the start of this race, but we do have George Russell in his fresh new pink Racing Point looking to gun us down at this point. So it's just a matter of trying to keep our car in contention, see if we can make up some ground as it looks like Lewis Hamilton is a little untidy through that last little sector of corners. Big bump. See the back end get loose, and I have to kind of make a little twitch adjustment to the steering. But again, George Russell's got a good run, so we're going to move to the inside, defend that line, and also pick up some slipstream. Very slow, everybody in front coming into T1. We have to get on the brakes, have a little bit of a lockup, but we managed to not make an absolute mess of that corner by running into the back of our own teammate. But you can see pretty big train from essentially fourth on back. I believe that's where Hamilton is sitting at right now. And that's allowing the lead podium group to really just get away, and that's not something we necessarily want. We need to be able to stay with this group and hope to catch them over the course of this race. We need to start making some overtakes, but again, with our teammate right in front of us, we don't want to be doing anything too aggressive that will, risk doing damage to both of our cars and hurting our team's chances in the race. So we're pretty content at this point to just kind of sit behind Hulkenberg. If a door opens, we'll go ahead and take it. But you can see we have our hands full with George Russell behind us already. So we just need to kind of try and keep the car nice and tidy. Make sure he doesn't get too good of a run coming out of Spoon and then up the hill to 130R. So again, moving to the inside, trying to break the toe a little bit. There you go. George Russell having a little peek to the inside as we close up to 130R. I'm going to leave him a little bit of space. It's going to cause us to run out a little bit wide. He's going to carry a little bit of extra pace coming around that corner, but that actually caused us to, I think that's actually Hulkenberg has gotten by that Renault there. So while he was making an opportunistic move, we had to make a move. But George Russell, better run out of the final corner. We went very aggressive to the inside, but he's going to get fully past us as we head into turns 1 and 2. And so now we've got the attacking McLarens behind us, and unfortunately we're losing positions at this point. We're really just struggling with the race pace so far early in this GP, and running in this dirty air is just not ideal. We are running a little bit of a higher downforce setup in the wings to try and get some extra pace and some extra grip through those S's. But that is costing us on the back straight in the run up to 130R.
Okay, we've got plenty of energy. Switch to overtake and have a go.
You know, I would love to have a go, Jeff, but you see I've kind of got some cars in front of me, and there's really not a way to make it past very easily around Suzuka here. And one thing that I found interesting about Suzuka so far over the course of my career is how much struggle I have with the S's in the first sector. And it's kind of an interesting split because I lose a lot of ground in the S's at Suzuka here, but other courses with kind of their S sections, especially Silverstone in the Maggots and Beckett's area, and then in Coda in the first sector, all of those S sections, I actually pick up a lot of time against the AI drivers. So it's very strange that I just don't quite have the line figured out around Suzuka here, but we managed to pick up a little bit of DRS. That's going to help us defend off of Pierre Gasly. And it looks like George Russell is now starting to carve his way up in that great performing racing point. He's got the confidence now after that first podium, apparently, and is really starting to perform where the car is. Just strange because he was pretty much wallowing barely inside the points even when our car was the best on the grid in the development department. But hey, whatever works for some. But we're jumping ahead. Lap 6 of 27 now. Coming out of 130R. Got a little bit of a slipstream. Hulkenberg locks up into the chicane there. So we're going to try and not run into the back of him. But now we are going to have DRS on him. He's got his wing open.
They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Oh, Hulkenberg's got an issue. So we got to try and get past him as soon as possible. Not let him slow us up. But you can see into turns 1 and 2. And then he just so slow off that exit. I thought it would be nice of him to let us by, but through the S's, look at the amount of time he is dropping to George Russell in front with his car issue. So I'm just looking, trying to find a way past. We're going to go ahead and just try and stick it up the middle. He really should have gotten out of the way. I'm sure, if there was team bosses and team radios, they would have said, hey, let Quimby by. You're slow. Let him get after George. But unfortunately, that's going to cost us quite a bit of time on George Russell. So now we got to get our head down, try and make the way through. Let's see if he can at least hold up some of the guys behind us to keep us from being under attack too much as well. But yeah, definitely way off the pace through the S's. You can see the amount of gap that he's falling behind now. See if we can chase down George Russell. But yeah, really tough, losing basically an entire sector of time to George Russell in front. We'll see what the gap is when we hit the sector split. I mean, it was pretty much a straight train.
New strategy is available on the MFD.
So 3.1 seconds.
3.1 seconds.
And Sergio Perez setting the fastest lap of the race so far. So definitely not great for us to try and chase him down. We'll see once we hit the straight what's the lap strategy going to be. All right, we're going to still keep it a one stop. We're just going to push the softs one lap further. It seems like they're doing all right. But yeah, you see we were 2.2 seconds down on our best lap because of that slow up from Hulkenberg. We're jumping ahead just a teeny bit. Lap 10, and now Lando Norris has made his way clear of Hulkenberg. We really haven't been able to make up too much ground on George Russell. We've basically been holding fairly steady. I think he's around 3 or 3.5 seconds now. Let's see where it is at the split. It was 3.1 last time we looked, but here's Lando Norris having a look. 5.1, so we've definitely lost some ground. Lando Norris trying to go around the outside of 130R. We give him a little bit of space on the runoff there, but he's got to back out. He's not going to be able to carry the speed around the outside, but it's important to be respectful. And George Russell inheriting the lead with the other lead cars dropping in. But here we go. Under attack from Lando Norris again. DRS up. We're going to move to the inside, go defensive into turn 1. Kind of forced him a little wide in turn 2 as these worn tires. We lost some of that grip. Understeered out just a little bit. By that time, he was able to get out of the throttle, avoid a major incident. But as they say sometimes in racing, outside is suicide. You're going to try and make a move, stick around the outside. Better be ready for some potential consequences.
Okay, you're in the top 10.
But here we are. We've inherited second place thanks to the leaders pitting in, but definitely not our true pace. We got up to, I believe, about P7 before everybody started making their pit stops. So we'll see where we come out after we make our jump into the pit lane in a few laps' time. It's lap 10. We're looking to jump in around lap 12 for a fresh set of mediums that will hopefully take us to the end of the race here. They should have plenty of life to do so. Here we are out of Spoon, still being hounded by Lando Norris. Thankfully, no DRS down this back straight up the hill into 130R, but still a big slipstream opportunity. We're moving the outside into the corner. He's not close enough to slipstream up on us, and we should be able to defend into the chicane this time. But he is still just hounding. He's all over our back bumper. And he dives into the pits, so that's going to give us a little bit of breathing room. Now it's time to kind of take a breath and see what we can do. And so here we are jumping ahead another full lap or so from the lead of the race. Lap 11, we are going to go ahead and now make our pit stop, or lap 12 rather. And there goes Carlos Sainz past us, Perez. We'll see how many other cars get by us and what position we're really diving into. Looks like there is a Toro Rosso that's ducked into the pit lanes behind us. Yep, Alex Albon sitting P7 at the moment. And there goes another pink dot. That's George Russell getting by. And then there's going to be a Mercedes coming down the pit straight. And then Lando Norris. Can we race him into the corner? No, so we've actually lost a little bit of ground to the pit stop strategy. The undercut beat us by just a hair. I mean, we're talking literally half a second or so. If I turned in a little bit better 2 laps, you know, picked up a quarter of a second from what I did on those 2 laps, then we would have come out in front of Lando Norris. But such is how it goes sometime. And now it's time for us, lap 13 of 27. It's time to put our heads down and try and make as much ground as we possibly can. Sitting P9 now, so we're 1 position down on our start position. We got Max Verstappen behind us, who, again, taking a grid penalty, moving down the grid box, but still having really good pace. So we are going to have to watch out for his attacks at certain points, I'm certain. He won't be a car that we'll be able to necessarily run away from. But at this point, we've got our eyes forward. We've got a little bit of a gap to Verstappen. We've kind of pulled in a little too tight to Spoon. That's going to lose us a fair bit of time on Lando Norris in front, but you can see him. Carlos Sainz putting up the fastest lap of the race in that McLaren, who has jumped to the top of the grid in terms of performance. Right now it's set up a McLaren, Racing Point, and then us. We are 3rd in grid performance. I mean, it's pretty close across the board, but definitely has a little bit of an edge to that McLaren. We are just outside the DRS zone. We were at 1.1 seconds at the last sector split, and now 1.3 coming across the start-finish line. Max Verstappen 2.4 seconds back at this point, so just going to keep an eye on that time delta, see if that changes. But you can see on the mini-map, Sainz was really rolling in Norris was rolling in Lewis Hamilton. Now we jump ahead lap 16, and he has made it past Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton on the hard tires losing some pace and some time. So we might be able to have a go, but at the same time, you see those arrows. Max Verstappen is all over our back bumper here. So he's closed up that about 2.5 second gap in about 3 laps. And now we will almost certainly have to deal with him shortly. Because here we are swinging a little wide, trying to take the better line through Spoon. But a big oversteer moment, getting on the throttle, robs us of a ton of momentum. And so now Verstappen has a little bit of overspeed, is in the slipstream. He's closing. Is he going to have a look? He's not quite close enough to have a look into 130R, but you can see him right on the back of us. Has a little peak as we hit the braking zone for the chicane there, but not quite enough ground to make it. But he's going to have DRS on us into turn 1, so we're going to move, try and go inside, go defensive. He's got great pace around the outside, so we just got to try and hold it out on him side by side. And we managed to just hold that position off into turns 1 and 2. So managed to fend him off, but definitely ready for another attack as he looks kind of as a little bit of a lunge, goes offline into the S's as we swing wide for that wider entry. But we were able to just barely shut the door on him as he has a little look up on that inside. So now settling in, got to hit the Degner corners just right, carry a lot of speed into 1, then hard on the brakes for the tighter Degner 2, and get a good traction out of that into the next run up to the hairpin. Get on the brakes just after that little right-hand kink to try and break as much of a straight line as you can, but also not compromising your pace through that corner as well. But here we go, getting ready to shoot down this final little curvy bit into Spoon. Let's see if we can make a good exit off a Spoon curve and keep Max Verstappen from making a run. But another oversteer moment, a little bit too anxious on the throttle coming out of that corner. And you can see we've closed up on Lewis Hamilton, but this time Verstappen was just a little bit far behind, not quite close enough to attack us there. And we are starting to reel in Lewis Hamilton. Are we going to be able to get some DRS off of him? We run a little wide onto the curbs, and Verstappen is going to be right on behind us again. Still not close enough, so we immediately go inside, go on the defensive, trying to, as soon as he commits, squeeze him a little bit to the outside. And again, we're going to just leave him some space on the inside of turn 1 and 2, or on the outside of turn 1 and 2, and hold that position just off there. So we made him commit to the outside line early, and then we just kind of inched our way to keep him essentially on the ideal racing line, but that also allowed us to open up the corner a little bit more as well and not super compromise our line. So a little bit of a fair track manipulation, just kind of checking for it. And Hulkenberg in his first race with our new team, DNFs. So where has he gone off? Is that going to cause a safety car for us, or is it going to just continue to run? Verstappen's still all over the back of us. We've really stopped kind of making ground on Hamilton with the amount of defending we're having to do. It's really hard to close up to those gaps, but Verstappen having a little look left, a little look right, trying to see if he can find a way through into Spoon. We're a little wide on the entry, but we're a little cleaner on the exit this time, but he has got a great run off. He is tight in the slipstream. He has already claimed the inside. So we are going to try and hang it out around the outside of him. A little extra pace. He bumps into the side of us. Wing damage, and we've got damage to our left rear tire. We've got a puncture from that wheel-to-wheel contact. And then under the braking, we kind of nudge into Verstappen and send him around. So really trying to wrestle with the car to get it into the pit lane, an unscheduled pit stop. And unfortunately, we've got to go on to another set of mediums. The amount of wobbling going on as that tire flops around. Looks like Verstappen going by us. No damage to him. Lucky for him, but he just gave us no space around the outside. But as I said earlier, outside is suicide, and it came back to bite me. It came back to bite me hard. And so now we've dropped all the way to the back of the grid. We're in P16. There goes P17 and P18. We had to get a new wing, new set of tires. Well, not new, they're scrub tires. They're ones that ran a couple laps in qualifying, but good amount of life in them so far. But now we just got to try and get our head down with only about 8 laps left to go in this race. It's looking like we might end up out of the points. We'll see what kind of ground we can make on the early stages of these soft tires. Try and keep the temperatures down as those S's really work those front tires very hard. But we're reeling in Devin Butler already. We've got that fresh front wing on, but man, it was really tough trying to defend. It wasn't necessarily defend from Verstappen, but run with him. He was a little slow on the exit of 130R. He kind of got out of the throttle for a second. I thought that meant he was checking up to allow us to go around the outside to at least race him side by side in the braking zone of the chicane. But then he just swung all the way out. And his contact, the second contact, is what punctured my left rear tire, and not going to make too many more laps with a punctured tire. Luckily, it happened literally in the very last set of corners before the pit stop, so I didn't have to limp around for too many corners, but definitely not ideal. Especially with Sergio Perez up at the front of this race, essentially. So we've got DRS open. We've got to look. Devin Butler's having a move on K-Mag here.
We're catching the car ahead, but be aware that these tyres need to last till the end of the race.
Yes, Jeff, I know. I know. So Butler made it through Magnussen, but Magnussen on those hard tires is going to be very slow through these S sections compared to us on the soft. So we're just trying to kind of see if we can set up a move somewhere on him, kind of like we did with Nico. So we get a good run out of that corner, tuck into the slipstream, but he's going to cover off the racing line. So we're just going to have to follow him through Degner 1, Degner 2, and just see if we can get a good launch out of that corner. Maybe make a move into the hairpin. We'll see if he defends aside. We swing to the inside. Not quite close enough to make a move on him there. So coming slow out of the hairpin there, and lost a little bit of ground to him. So we just got to kind of look ahead. We want to clear him as soon as possible. We have the overall pace on him, but like I said with Suzuka, it's such a hard circuit to overtake on. There's such huge sections of the track where there's just one line through them. I mean, as you saw, I didn't quite make enough ground through turn 1 and 2, and I've been stuck behind him ever since. So swinging a little bit out, trying to have a look, see if we can get a run out of 130R on the brakes. He kind of bumps us out to the outside through the chicane, so we were going to try and outbrake him there, but he forced us. If we had swung out a little further, we would have gone onto the grass, lost all braking, would have been in big trouble. But you see the amount of ground he lost to Devin Butler, but luckily this time DRS open, easy send past him there. So now onto the brakes, eyes ahead for Devin Butler, who should be a little tougher. He's on the medium tires compared to Magnussen on those hards. But we are still on this faster tire on those softs. Hopefully we can keep some life in them to keep making up ground. There's a blue dot, a Red Bull, a little further up. I believe that might be Verstappen. I believe Giovinazzi was ahead, but you see we are up almost a half second now on our previous best lap there, thanks to being clear of Kevin Magnussen through the S section. So you saw that's literally quantified how much time we lost in just one lap being behind Magnussen. In the first sector even, we lost a full 4/10 essentially is what we could have run. So we'll see what we can do around this lap here. Devin Butler slow through Spoon. We should be able to get a pretty good launch, get on the throttle nice and smoothly, try and catch some slipstream. Are we going to have enough pace around 130R to kind of slingshot our way down that little back straight? 1.1 seconds up on our best lap. Into the braking zone, not quite close enough, but he has a big lockup, and we have a little touch on his rear tire, but that lockup definitely hurt us as we had to kind of get way out of the throttle. But thankfully it was in a spot where he didn't affect us too bad. We were able to get through with the DRS, and now with 5 laps left to go, we've got Giovinazzi in front of us, but we're at P16, so we're still quite a ways out of the points. Unless like 5 cars DNF all of a sudden, we're not going to do too much. But here we are jumping ahead lap 25. You see we're we're down about 1.2 seconds on our best lap split as those tires are starting to really fall off. And yellow flags ahead, and Max Verstappen is out of the session. And more reliability woes for him, but in this case, good riddance.
You're losing a small amount of time to the car.
Good riddance. You forced me off the track, caused a puncture, made up a ton of positions on me because of it. We were running in the points, and you really just kind of boned us. But here we are, jumping ahead, last lap now. About to head through 130R for the last time. And just we're not able to catch up with Giovinazzi. Carlos Sainz actually takes the race win, so that's a little bit of a bonus for us. Sergio Perez was running up near the top of the race for pretty much the entire time. We'll cross the line and see where he's gone, since we are scoring no points today.
Shame about the result, but I know you gave it everything. We'll come back stronger next time.
McLaren have pulled it off. They've won in spectacular fashion here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track. Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. Not the result our points leader wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Carlos Sainz would be my first choice for this race. He had excellent race stamina, giving him the opportunity to charge through the ranks.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Our championship leaders retain their position, but their lead is shrinking. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So we actually ended up even dropping to Devin Butler because of a 5-second penalty on our second pit stop. Not able to get the car slow down quite enough before the limit line. A 5-second pit lane speeding penalty. See, the championship gap has come down to only 37 points now with 4 races left to go.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. Do you have any comments about the collisions?
I mean, no comment. I don't want to talk about it.
Are you looking forward to working with your new teammate?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it. He's a good driver, and now we're both in a great car.
Another close finish between you and Devin today. Does he keep you motivated?
Yeah, but, I mean, I never get tired of beating him, but today he beat me because of a pit lane penalty.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Sure, Claire. I don't know why you said good day today. It was a pretty rough day.
Let's hope for a better race next time out, eh?
Looks like both your rivals have also been invited to a historical event. This could be a good opportunity to capitalise on your rivalry with them and build up your reputation a little.
Yeah, yep, we'll definitely be doing that invitational event, but less than ideal. Man, Suzuka is just the track where stuff happens to me. I mean, one season we got our front wing knocked off early on by Grosjean, had to run the rest of the race after making an early pit stop, and this time we were running in the points, able to kind of mitigate some of the damage around a course I'm not particularly great around, but then Verstappen forcing us outside, clipping us, causing the puncture. Really was not an ideal day. So we are purchasing another upgrade, a major upgrade. There's no minors left to do at this point in the season. Pretty much we're getting into our last couple of upgrades. Anything we purchase from here on out is not going to have enough time to really finish in the development. So basically what we've got on the burners right now is what's going to take us to the end of the season, and hopefully it's going to be enough. But our championship lead really thoroughly cut into. Thankfully, slightly mitigated by the fact that Perez came second, didn't outright win the race this time, even though he definitely had a car to do so. But that McLaren was showing up a pretty good pace, and George Russell getting way up the grid, starting 11th. I think he finished 5th, so really showing some good pace in his car. Unfortunate for our new teammate who you see sitting across from me now, Nico, with the DNF in his first arrival here at Williams. But Next, we are headed to a track where we've won before. We're headed off to Mexico. So I will catch you guys next time. Peace.